I'm a dinosaur. I'm tell you, I hear y'all talking, but I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I don't feel okay. That's how them.
We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. You on this first?
Good evening. Miss Harrison tells me it is 6 o'clock, so at this time I will gavel the September 2020 Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees meeting to order. I believe we've had proper public notification of the meeting, and I do confirm a quorum. At this time, Chair will entertain a motion to enter executive session. I believe all we have is personnel.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we enter executive session with personnel matters only.
Thank you, ma'am.
A second.
Thank you. It's been motioned by Ms. Harrison. It's been seconded by Mr. Davis to enter executive session for personnel matters. All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. That is 6-0. We will go into executive session not to exceed 6:30. Thank you.
So we all gonna use you that mic.
You take your own mic.
I have the mic.
Yeah. Well, there's a freestanding mic right here.
That's why you
Where?
said that. I was like, what's you talking about?
There's one on the podium.
Now, I could always tell you what I'm gonna say
No,
and go home.
no, thank you.
You seem to be quite the,
Testing 1. Testing 1, 2.
you know what I'm gonna do next time? My daughter has one of them karaoke pop stars. Little lights. Oh, that's okay. I'm gonna bring that to the meeting. I'm gonna use that.
If you bring it to the next meeting and use it, I'll give you $100. You heard that, Deputy? He can't just bring it. You have to bring it and use it. I'm gonna give you $100 out of my pocket. Straight. Oh, Lord. Oh. And they're gonna be all in one. not having a table.
I can live with that.
Oh, yeah, why did they just put tables back here?
Probably didn't have, well, I guess we do have enough.
Yeah, thank you. In the middle of the night.
I'll go first.
So why don't you use the microphone? And then he's just.
Who's going, she's going to consider you? Oh, okay.
This one. Yeah. Oh, I need to use that one? Yeah. Okay. I have to go down there to use it?
No.
Oh. I'll stay right here. Turn your mic over here? No, like, it comes to each other, you're gonna go to four. Yeah. You doing the kitchen? I'm just reading. Oh, well, you use the mic right there. And when you finish with it, you get off the board.
Tell you, you're my pop star. I told her that's what I'm bringing her mic. Good on.
I'm gonna give him $100 in one.
And I'm gonna turn on the echo effect.
She thinks her man for what?
Again, I go use that word.
A girl I went to high school with,
What did I say?
I know they used to get me. So she gonna just take it. Go to the podium.
Why don't you put your cell phone up there and I'll just call.
Testing 1, 2.
So my price, so I have to touch it. Oh, it's on like to use the. I'll be the first one to use it. But when you finish doing
Turn it off.
take the mic off the stand and take it with you. Okay, I gotta use the white because I need to get it. Kevin got it, I need it for my sake. Right. Kevin got his own. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, this time Chair will entertain a motion to exit executive session.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we exit session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
It's been motioned by Ms. Harris, has been seconded by Mr. Davis to exit executive session. All those in favor of exiting executive session indicate by raising their right hand. That is 7-0. Thank you. Again, welcome to all y'all in this still modified version of our monthly meetings. And this time I will turn it over to the secretary for our pledge of allegiance and moment of silence.
Let us all stand for the pledge of allegiance and moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, Chair will entertain a motion in regards to approval of this evening's agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. It's been motioned by Ms. Harrison. It's been seconded by Mr. Miller to approve this evening's agenda. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving indicate by raising your right hand. 7-0, thank you. And presentation and recognition.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This evening, we have the distinct honor to recognize our Teachers of the Year from all respective locations, as well as our District Teacher of the Year. We know that our teachers are the heartbeat of what we do in educating our students, and we are just excited to honor them this evening. First, we have Cheryl Small, who is representing Fairfield Elementary School. Ms. Small has 4 years of teaching experience, and she's teaching kindergarten. She's a team leader and a liaison for kindergarten and first grade. Ms. Small is has been a great influence in her choice to become a teacher. Her mother has worked for the district for 33 years and always stressed the importance of education. As she entered into her senior year of high school, she wanted to be an educator and instill a love for learning in students so that they may give back to society. I present to you Ms. Cheryl Small, Fairfield Elementary School. Next, we have Nicole Hunter from Giger Elementary School. Ms. Hunter has 13 years of experience in grades in child development, 4-year-old. She is a kindergarten team leader and grade level chairperson for grades CD through 2. She always wanted to become a teacher. From her days at Fairfield Primary School to early childhood practicum experiences at the University of South Carolina, her passion to become a teacher stayed the same. She loves to be around children. Therefore, early childhood education was a given. She is a pushover for school supplies because back to school shopping was a holiday in her eyes while growing up. Ms. Nicole Hunter, Giger Elementary School. Next is Antonio Tony Ferreira, Fairfield Career and Technology Center. Mr. Ferreira has 5 years teaching experience in grades 9 through 12, and Mr. Ferreira is a South Carolina certified firefighter. His greatest contribution towards all students is talking to them and getting to know them as a person, not just as a student. He believes in engaging with each other and making sure that we are working for the student's best interest. Mr. Tony Ferreira, Fairfield County, Career and Technology. Samantha Steele, Kelly Miller Elementary School. There she is. Miss Steele has 4 years experience and she teaches kindergarten. She's on the literacy committee and she's earned a certificate of achievement for contributing to the Kelly Miller Elementary School Excellent Report Card Rating or Silver Award. Education was a natural career path for her. She has always had a natural ability for being able to connect with children and keeping them engaged in activities. She believes one of the greatest accomplishments in education has been her ability to build strong relationships with her students. Let's congratulate Samantha Steele, Kelly Miller Elementary School. Next we have Melanie Miller, Macquarie Liston School of Technology. Ms. Miller has 21 years teaching experience and is currently teaching 3rd grade. She is a mentor for the school district, and back in a few years ago, she was recognized as Reading Teacher of the Year. Her decision to become a teacher was influenced by a love for learning and admiration for the teachers in her life. She often tells students that reading allows you to visit unimaginable places and can offer experiences unavailable to them in the classroom. Ms. Melanie Miller, Macquarie Liston School. Next we have from Fairfield Middle School, Mr. David Toney. Mr. Toney has 18 years of experience and he teaches math to students in grade 7. He's the math department chair and he is avid trained. His childhood upbringing instilled the first seed to become a teacher. He is from a family of educators that began with his great-grandmother. As a youth, he would always watch how nurturing and patient she was with all the children that she encountered. She always would tell him to be passionate about what you do and do it with love in your heart. The time he has spent with his great-grandmother molded the way that he treats all of his students. Congratulations, Mr. David Toney, Fairfield Middle School. Ms. Giovanni Rout represents Fairfield Magnet School for Math and Science. Ms. Rout has 12 years of experience and she teaches child development to 4-year-olds. Ms. Rout is the math department chair and avid trained. She always wanted to become a teacher. Her biggest influences were a great-grandmother who taught school for 42 years and her mother who taught for 28 years. She noticed their love and passion for students, which made her want to become a loving and caring teacher. She came from a line of teachers and her family. Not only is she a teacher, but did you know she's a triplet? And her other 2 sisters are teachers as well. We congratulate Giovanni Rout, Fairfield Magnet School for Math and Science. Ms. Melissa Pauling, Gordon Odyssey Academy. 7 years of experience, grade levels K through 12. She's a special education teacher. She is department head, and she is a certified South Carolina mentor. Through her personal struggles, she was inspired to become not just an educator, but a special ed teacher to teach children and challenge them to reach their full potential through hard work and the relentless pursuit to become their best selves. Congratulations, Ms. Pauling, and she represents Gordon Odyssey. Last but not least, we have the District Teacher of the Year, Ms. Shannon Taylor, who represents Fairfield Central High School. Ms. Taylor has 13 years experience and she teaches English literature. She is the department head for the English department, and she's been the Beta Club sponsor since 2016. Ms. Taylor believes that one of her greatest contributions and accomplishments in education is the relationship she has formed with students through the Beta Club. Ms. Taylor's personal belief about teaching is that a student will actually learn through discovery. She wants to point them in the direction and be there for guidance, but not there to give answers. Congratulations to the Fairfield County School District Teacher of the Year, Ms. Shannon Taylor.
Congratulations to all our teachers. It's excellent work, and you think we got another state teacher there?
I tell you, we very well may. Let me say, Chairman, Frick, members of the board, I've had the pleasure of visiting the classroom of every teacher of the year. And we have some of the finest educators you will find anywhere in the world, right here in Louisville, Fairfield County. And so we are so blessed to have such competent and caring staff members who not only know their craft, but are truly invested in the young people that we serve. You know, I learned something years ago in education. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And you can be a great teacher, but just being a great teacher doesn't equate to just knowing pedagogy. It's about knowing how to really teach, but it's about also inspiring young people, showing young people that you're invested in them, that you care about them, and you're willing to do anything to see that they are successful. And we have that right here in Fairfield. And they are an example of the outstanding educators we have. So just join me and give them another round of applause.
And I can echo that too. As you know, my daughter has gone on to the governor's school. And I came home the other day and she said, you know, this academic stuff, the academic part of it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
I think our teachers have prepared her well for the adventures. At this time, the board chair will entertain a motion in regard to the minutes from the August 18th, 2020 board meeting.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve the board minutes from August 18, regular call board meeting. Providing I get a second.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you. It's been motioned by Ms. Harrison. It's been seconded by Reverend Jackson to approve the board minutes from the August 18, 2020 meeting. Any discussion on the board minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving board minutes indicate by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. Opposition? Is that opposition or abstention? 1 abstention. 6 in favor, 1 abstention. Thank you. Superintendent's reports.
Chairman Frick, members of the board, first of all, I'd like to thank you for all who came and participated in the parade, I guess a week ago, Friday. I am humbled by the outpouring of support, love, appreciation from the entire Fairfield family in recognition of that designation. As I have said multiple times, I do not see this as an individual accolade, but a recognition of all the outstanding things that are going on here in Fairfield County School District. And we are truly living out our motto of excellence through teamwork. And so even though it was an opportunity for people to come out and celebrate me being recognized, I hope that everyone realizes that this really was a celebration for the Fairfield community. This is something that we all celebrate in. And as I was telling Mr. Miller recently, I didn't realize it, but when you are designated the state superintendent of the year, you get the privilege of competing for the national superintendent of the year. And really, I didn't even give that thought until they emailed me and said, you have to start working on your material for the national competition. And it just gives me great pleasure to see Fairfield County, win, lose, or draw, representing in the national competition for the National Superintendent of the Year. And so I'd like to thank all of you who were present, all of you for your support over this going on 9 years in Fairfield County. Wow, how time flies when you're having fun. But we are in year 9 here, and I can't think of any place in the world I'd rather be than right here in Fairfield County. So thank you. Let me talk a little bit about operating in the era of COVID-19. I have been visiting schools almost every day, quite honestly, just observing how things are going. And I'll tell you, knock on wood, despite some technical glitches, many of which we can't avoid, despite some issues with Zoom from time to time, and Google, and some issues with Verizon, I'll tell you that our young people are engaged beyond imagination. I've gone to some elementary classrooms as early as 7:30, 7:45, and I'll walk into class and young people are sitting in desks and online ready for the day's lesson to start. And so when I hear some people tell me these young people aren't going to be engaged if they're leveraging the instruction virtually, that's simply not the case. Our young people are definitely engaged. As it relates to the young people who are reporting in person, there were some questions about whether they would recognize and maintain social distancing, whether they would wear their face covering and mask if they were asked to. And I'm telling you, our young people are rising to the challenge. Some of the parents who were apprehensive about sending young people back for face-to-face instruction have since evaluated the safety precautions that we have in place. And I think we processed about another 150 requests for special consideration of parents who want to have their children report to in-person instruction beginning this coming Monday. And so not only do we have a substantial number of students that are reporting to school each and every day, we have an ever increasing number of parents and students who are requesting that they be allowed to report for in-person instruction. And so as long as we can continue to accommodate these requests, we will do so. As long as we can continue to maintain social distancing, not have any tremendous instances of contraction of the virus, then we'll continue to expand upon that. And so I am so pleased to let you know that it is continuing to go very, very well. Let me talk a little bit about DHEC reporting. The governor had requested that school districts report any instances of COVID-19 contraction to DHEC, and they were going to publish that data twice a week. I think Tuesdays and Thursdays are the days that they come out. It is important to note, first of all, in the data, it does not represent that a student contracted the virus anywhere near a school setting, all right? So in other words, if there is a student who attends a school in Fairfield County or any other district, whether they came into contact with the virus at home, at the mall, at the beach, as long as he's a student in Fairfield County, we have to report that information. So there is some confusion that if you see something associated with the school district, that means that someone contracted the virus at school. That is not the case. That just means that someone who is attending school has been confirmed positive. The other thing I want to provide some clarification to is the way DHEC is reporting the data, they're reporting it in a manner that we are not able, when I say we, I mean the public, is not able to identify potentially who the positives are. And so if there is one positive case, DHEC isn't going to report one positive case, they're going to report that as less than 5. So general public doesn't necessarily understand you see a less than 5. Obviously that could be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. But the reason they do that is they do not want to make it easier where you can identify where a case may exist. When I say where, I'm not talking about the building, but I'm talking about the person, the classroom. Just for your information, we've had 2 positive cases in Fairfield County, one at Gigi Elementary School, one at Fairfield Central High School thus far. And so when you see less than 5, that doesn't mean there were 5 cases at Fairfield Central High School. All right, when you see less than 5 at Giga, that doesn't mean there were 5 cases at Giga Elementary School. And so given where we are with the extent of spread throughout the community, I'll say that we are continuing to do very well, knock on wood. I am pretty confident in saying that we have not been made aware of any situation where a student has come into contact with the virus on our grounds. As I said earlier, regardless of where a student comes into contact, then we will have to report that data to DHEC. I want to talk a little bit about notification. There were some questions about who we notify and when we notify if there is a confirmed positive in the district. And our protocol requires that we notify the individuals who potentially have come into close contact with the confirmed positive. So in other words, if there were a student in 7th grade who ended up testing positive for the virus, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to notify everybody in the school that there was a confirmed positive. What we'll do is we'll do contact tracing, and we'll look at who this student potentially came into close contact with, and we will notify those students and those parents in that instance. So there are some people who still are questioning, well, I heard there was a confirmed positive at Fairfield Central High School, for example, and I didn't get a call, I wasn't notified. So if you weren't notified and you didn't get a call, that means that your child was not in potential close contact with the confirmed positive. We only are notifying people who potentially came in close contact with the confirmed positive. As you can imagine, very often, a particular parent's child may not have ever seen the kid who was a confirmed positive. And as a result, we don't feel the need to notify every single student in the school. I've had lots of questions about athletics. Will athletics continue? I think the football team is scrimmaging today up in Fort Mill, Rock Hill, somewhere in that part of the state. There's a tennis match. That's why I'm going to be leaving as soon as the board meeting is over. There's a tennis match going on today at Fairfield Central High School, one of the, I think, the reigning champions, Mid-Carolina. We have had a couple of volleyball matches. We've had a couple of cross-country meets. So athletics is continuing to progress. Obviously, the big question is football, because that is probably more of a contact sport and compromises social distancing than the other sports that I mentioned. As long as things continue to progress as they are, we anticipate that football will proceed. All right. High School League has already outlined what the safety precautions are. I think our first official competition, other than scrimmages, is scheduled to be the last week in September. I think our first official regular season game is supposed to be the first week in October. But we are moving forward with football. And I've had the opportunity to go out and watch practices. Team looks pretty good. I don't want to jinx them, but I think we are going to put together a pretty good team. Ms. Harris, you make sure you take your daddy that night.
He called me today.
Yeah.
And he wants to know how y'all gonna do the social distance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna talk about that as well. So as a function of COVID-19 and social distancing, we had to go and look at our capacity in our stadium, look at how many people we could get in there, give it the capacity and keep people 6 feet apart. And we've determined that we could have about 600 people attend our games, okay? At this time, we plan to do about 450 people on the home side, but we want to extend some opportunity for visitors to report as well. So we're gonna try and do 150 tickets for the visitor side. Now, we will sell on a first come, first served basis, 350 tickets. Now, note I said 450, but I said we'll sell 350 because we're trying to reserve about 100 tickets for board members, band, district passes, so on and so on. So if there's a capacity of 450, we can't just sell all 450 because we know we've got the band coming, we've got board members coming and other district staff. So we will open it up for purchase from the community as soon as the games are announced, and it'll be on a first come, first served basis, and then we'll sell the first 350 tickets. Once they're gone, that's it. Now, there's some questions about, well, what if the visitors don't use up the entire 150? will we sell tickets for the visitor side? The answer to that is yes, all right? But we don't want to not provide an opportunity for visitors to come and support their team. The same way I don't want them not provide us an opportunity for us to come and support our team. So that's what we are hopeful occurs, is that we have an opportunity to invite visitors to come and support, even if it's in a limited capacity, and also have an opportunity to have our fans in the stand. I talked to Dr. Swilly. We will try and provide at least reserved tickets to a certain extent for some athletes, the parents of athletes, and try and make sure that they get an opportunity to be in that 350 number as well. We understand that 350 can go pretty quick, but we're just happy to be able to move forward with football this season. Any questions? I've covered a lot. Any questions about anything that I have covered thus far?
Mr. Chair, Dr. Green, I know in July, I asked you to check on, like, did everybody get cleaning supplies, and you did, but I'm still getting that some of the schools, some people hadn't received anything.
Okay.
So can you just renovate that and check on that again for me, please? Because they're saying they having to bring stuff from home and they shouldn't have to.
Ms. Harrison, I am very concerned about that. As a matter of fact, I was with Maintenance Director, Mr. Christie today, and we did a tour through the warehouse just to give me an update on where we were with cleaning supply. And we are in tremendous shape relative to hand sanitizer, face coverings, gowns, shields. I mean, you name it. We have an inventory already prepared. And so I've already communicated that to principals and staff. I will communicate that again, because no one needs to bring anything from home. We have all the supplies anyone could ever need. To the listening audience out here, if you work in Fairfield County School District, we have all the supplies anyone could ever need. So if you have reached out to a supervisor and have not received satisfaction, reach out to me directly. And I can assure you that we will have that resolved. Thank you, Ms. Harris, for bringing that to my attention.
Yes. On that aspect, I've heard the same thing, that the teachers didn't have enough to clean the desk.
And once again, as I said to Ms. Harrison, we have an abundance of supplies. And so if teachers are saying that, I'm not sure who is telling them we don't have supplies, but if you speak to them and they aren't getting relief from their direct supervisors, then you ask them to call me, because we do not have a shortage of supplies. We have an abundance of supplies.
And the other question was, how are the students doing as far as the virtual students? Are they doing well in getting online?
Well, as I said, generally speaking, yes. There have been some technical issues, as you can imagine. And as I was explaining to Mr. Miller, I think I was telling him earlier, the thing we have to recognize is, let's say Verizon hotspots. Verizon's infrastructure is experiencing as much demand as it ever has.
I'm sure.
Okay, so now you have people trying to leverage the Verizon network, not just in Fairfield, not just in South Carolina, but across the country. And so as a result, that has caused some slowdowns, that has caused some crashes. Same thing for Zoom, same thing for Google. So as we move into this new normal, there are going to be more technical issues than we've ever experienced as a function of people across the country working in the same virtual environment. And so the infrastructure isn't necessarily prepared to accommodate millions of people who are trying to leverage the network. Now, I assume that they eventually get up to speed, and we kind of go through when these issues occur, but there will be some technical glitches as we move forward. I think we all need to just acknowledge that. But as a general rule, students are doing very well.
So you don't have an idea of how many might be just a guess, having difficulty on actually getting online and being, in other words, you're taking roll calls, so how many are not able to do it so far?
Well, yeah, I mean, the way I can give you a number. I mean, so in other words, a kid could be doing well Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then there's a crash on Friday. Okay, a kid could be doing great Monday morning from 8 o'clock to 1:30, and then there was some issues at 2 o'clock. I mean, so it's not an all or nothing scenario. Is my point.
So there's none of them that are not able to get on at all.
I'm not understanding your question. I mean,
Being able to get online, are there any students that are not getting online at all?
so this is our position, Ms. Hartman. If there's a student who cannot get online because of technical issues, then we invite them to report for in-person instruction. So there's not going to be an extended period of time. If someone says, I live in an area where my Wi-Fi device is not working, and we have deployed additional Wi-Fi devices, we have 3 different Wi-Fi devices we deployed. We deployed all the Wi-Fi devices we have. You're still having those kinds of issues. We can't get the issues resolved regardless of what they are. Then our next step is, okay, we can't get your issues resolved, so we're going to invite you to report for in-person instruction. So no, there is not going to be a situation where someone for an extended period of time still cannot log on consistently.
Okay, I just have, like I say, the concern that of the education for the children. Thank you.
Okay.
That's great. Dr. Green, say, we have come a long way. Okay. And I want to go back because I want everybody to know where I'm coming from. Back in March, when we first, this COVID-19 hit us, and the teachers were doing their best, they were at home. But I think we did some professional development because, I stepped in too. I got a grandson, I got 2 grandsons, and I'm stepping, and I'm watching. And these teachers they've made some tremendous strides because they are engaging these kids. Okay, and I'm watching that. If it wasn't so, I'll tell you so. And so I'm seeing, and I guess we grow. Anything we do, we get better at. And I think the teachers are getting better at virtual school. See what I'm saying? They're getting better as well as teaching the kids in the class. But I think I have to applaud them for because it ain't easy, And I talked to some of the teachers in other districts, and we got it right. I'm just gonna tell y'all, we got it right. We were the ones that's maybe struggling. We call having some learning issues. We bring them in. That's the way it's supposed to be. Doc, you and your staff, I think y'all figured it out. I really do. I think y'all figured it out. And so other districts, they're going to look crazy for them right now because they're not doing what we're doing. And so it's a thought pattern. If you sit down and you talk to your staff and you get their feedback, it's like making a cake. Put all that ingredients in, and you make that beautiful cake, and it tastes good too. And so I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, Mr. Miller, I appreciate those remarks. I would encourage everyone to go to the district website and look at the district digital learning pages. And so I like to thank Dr. Avery because she really spearheaded that initiative. But we created a district landing page, school landing pages, and teacher landing pages, where you can always find any information relative to virtual learning. And so that is a common language, that is a common location that parents and students can always go to find out what's going on with virtual education in Fairfield County. And it has been absolutely tremendous. As Mr. Miller said, folks, I mean, we made a total shift in paradigm here. Going from in-person learning to doing some in-person learning, but lots of virtual learning. And there is going to be somewhat of a learning curve in that regard, not only for teachers, it's going to be a learning curve for students, it's going to be a learning curve for parents, okay? Because if you have a second grade kid who's being educated through a virtual environment, then you're going to have to do a little bit more than you would start to have done, obviously, because you got to provide some support for that second grade kid. Now, a kid in ninth grade can work a little bit more independently, obviously, than a kid in second grade. So it's caused, this is resulting in all of us having to kind of work outside our comfort zone. And I would be remiss if I didn't echo what Mr. Miller said relative to our faculty and staff, how they have adjusted and just did a tremendous job. And I'm gonna tell you folks, they just keep going about the business of educating children, not complaining,
not talking about what's wrong and the challenges, but just meeting the challenges and doing what needs to do, what they need to do to overcome those challenges. And so we are so blessed here to have such a dedicated and committed faculty and staff in Fairfield County. I can't say that enough.
Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Green, I tell you, I have learned a lot doing this because I got overwhelming calls,
Yeah.
but I did visit the website. I was learning stuff. I had to because the parents was calling me, but I thank you because a lot of them that was live way deep down in the country, they could not get on the internet and you allowed them to come back. That's what we have to do. And I have to do it with my 2 grandkids, the younger ones. On Mondays and Tuesdays, you got 3 on the internet, 1 getting kicked off. It's been a challenge for me too. But I have learned a lot and I appreciate everything you have done because when they called me, I said, I got to call Dr. Green. I'm like, this is overwhelming, but everybody was so thankful and they were so appreciative. I mean, they were so nice and they understood that everybody's going through this together. It was just us or them, it was everybody. And I really appreciate everything you've done.
Well, thank you, Ms.
And your
Harrison.
staff. I like that website because it taught me a lot.
Oh, yeah. But you know, the one thing that I've reminded parents is that when we deploy a MiFi device, and I think I shared this with the board earlier, MiFi devices, hotspots work on cellular networks. Okay. And so if you have spotty cellular service in your area, then you are likely to have spotty internet service with a MiFi device. And that's just a trial and error process. So when I issue you a MiFi device, we are prayerful that it works, but then you may get down 200 and say, Superintendent, I got in my house down 200. This thing ain't working. Okay. And that's legitimate because you know what? Some phones don't work in my area. And so we know that there are some areas that are experiencing greater difficulty. Down 200 is one we've had some conversations with. Down Longtown Road and some of the Ridgeway area, the western end of the county, Dawkins and some of those areas. But those are the same areas that have struggled relative to getting cellular service. Now, you know, this whole COVID-19 crisis has peeled the scab back on the digital divide that exists in this country. Okay? And it is a true digital divide that exists. Now, we're doing all that we can to overcome it, but we won't be able to do that alone. This is kind of a stopgap measure. Ultimately, we need to treat Wi-Fi access the same way we treat any other utility like light. Okay? When we make it available to every single person who lives in our community. And right now, that doesn't exist. I mean, there's some people who would love to get service. Their service simply does not run out in their area. All right, so as a result, they have to depend on MiFi devices and such to get cellular service. I think the state recognizes that as a result of this COVID-19 crisis. I think they are positioning themselves to move to really create a more equitable situation relative to internet access, but it's going to take a little time. Okay, but I think that will be some good that comes out of this crisis. Is that a few years from now we're going to look back and say, you know what, the days of having so many people out here that do not have internet access is a thing of the past.
I'm thinking about a little bit on that. I've noticed that even if you had good service and haven't had any problems, there's so many people out there on these devices now, and everybody is battling for the same space electronically. And I can sit on my porch, call somebody, and walk to the other side of the porch and lose the call. And I haven't had that problem before.
Yeah.
But I'm having it now. You know, I call somebody, they say hello, and then the phone goes out. So I mean, I'm sure the same thing happens with Zoom calls and so forth. We've been doing Bible study and so forth on Zoom, and the person's mouth is working, but you can't hear what they're saying, or they're talking and they're sitting there and nothing's happening. You can't see the mouth work, but you can hear what they're saying. So those kind of things we have to deal with.
And as you said, all networks have been pushed to the limit.
Yeah.
You know, Verizon, as I said, deployed all these wireless devices, all these MiFi hotspots, but now they see the strain that's put on the network. And so now you have people using them all over the country. And so it has created a strain. And then as you know, Verizon here, and I'm not here to endorse Verizon, but it's probably been the most consistent cellular service in this area. Okay, and so AT&T in some areas work pretty good, but Verizon and AT&T here have been the most consistent cellular services here. But it's been a strain on them because there are more people leveraging their networks now than ever have before. And so I'm sure they're making some adjustments. They got some big time engineers and folks who get paid a lot of money to figure out how you make the network stronger. And they will eventually do that. But I expect we'll continue to have some growing pains in it.
Can you hear me? Yeah, there we go. I'm going to make a comment that, yeah, I have issues out of my place. And, you know, the reason I just asked my question is just to see how that's being worked with when you do have an issue. And I commend the teachers, the employees that have to work with all that, because I know it's definitely new issues that we're all going through. Thank you.
Dr. Green, it may be too early to ask this question, but is there any conversation or have you heard anything in the state about the possibility of getting everybody back on campuses, maybe at least next semester?
Yeah, so what I'll say, Chairman Freak, is we are probably in as good a shape as most people in the Midlands relative to that. And that is because we have already been having students report for 5 days of instruction. The question is, as you increase those numbers, does that put you at any greater risk for contraction of the virus? And the unfortunate reality is you can speculate about how that's going to work, but you don't really know how that's going to work until you actually do it. The governor, as you can imagine, is really pushing all districts to expand 5-day in-person instruction. State Superintendent of Education is really encouraging districts to do so. But districts, as much as they want to do it, just want to make sure that it is done safely. So I gave you a long answer, Mr. Frick, to say that if we continue to progress in the manner that we are, that's a big if, I predict that by the next semester, we'll probably have close to all kids who want to report for in-person instruction report. We'll still have a contingent of parents who elect to leverage the virtual option, but I think we'll be pretty close if things continue to progress to allow any kid who wants to report for in-person instruction to report.
If in fact they do come back, is there a possibility that we may have to adjust some of the wide areas of the building, like the gym and places like that, and create teacher spaces?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Pastor Jackson. I can tell you we've already thought about how we accommodate that issue, because regardless of where we head in the second semester, we'll still recognize social distancing protocols. And by social distancing protocol, we're talking about how many students can you effectively get in a classroom and still have 6 feet of distance between every student. And that depends depending on the size of the classroom. So let's say a class only can accommodate 13 kids with 6 feet of distance, and you got 15 kids in the classroom. Then what do you do with the other 5 kids? Do you go to a bigger space? Do you find a place where you can relocate other kids? And I'll tell you that our plans right now are to try and find a place that you can relocate other kids. Okay. Now, what we have historically done, as you know, Pastor Jackson, is teachers have had their classroom space
as their space during their planning periods. Okay, so during my planning period, I get an opportunity to kind of just have my classroom space to do what I need to do. When we get to that point, we'll probably have to utilize some of that classroom space. Okay, and so that's when we'll probably have to go and say, well, I know this is your planning period, but we're gonna have to kind of shuffle things a bit and utilize that space to locate some kids in the event that we get to that point. Now, we aren't at that point right now, but we've already began to think about what happens if we do.
And I want to echo what everybody else has said. Tremendous work by all the teachers and staff, students, parents, everybody adjusting to this whole new world. And I'm with all of y'all. I mean, you go over those pine trees, you're on my front porch, and you would think that close to town, I wouldn't have to be on my front porch to make a phone call. I have to be on the front porch. And if the wind blows, that it's not gonna work then either. So it's a struggle out there. And I know you mentioned some places, I know they don't get cell signal at all. All right. I do not see anything under curriculum and instruction. So we'll move to operations and finance.
Good evening. In your board package, you have the only item under operations and finance, and that is the finance report for the month of August of 2024, your review.
Any questions for Mr. Robinson on that? Mr. Robinson, I know this is not the final report, but this is maybe about as close as we can get at this point, right? So the $2 million deficit that you projected, is that what we've ended up with essentially?
Well, we don't have the final numbers yet, obviously. I'm cautiously optimistic it will be better than that, but by next month, we should have something much more concrete.
Okay. I mean, what I'm looking at here, it is better than what you forecast.
Now, this is for this fiscal year.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. So the report for June of last year is not included.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. Any other questions? All right. Thanks, sir. Human resource.
Good evening again. Mr. Chairman, the superintendent recommends the board approve professional certified resignations and terminations for academic year 2021. This is presented in Exhibit 1.
Thank you, ma'am. This time, Chair, will entertain a motion in regards to certified resignation terminations in Exhibit 1.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve professional certified resignation termination for academic year 2021, Exhibit 1.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. It's been motioned by Ms. Harrison. It's been seconded by Reverend Jackson to approve certified resignations and terminations in Exhibit 1. It is personnel, so no discussion. All those in favor of approving indicate by raising your right hand. That is 6 in favor. You want to revote?
No.
Okay, 6 in favor, negative? Negative, okay. Is that a negative or an abstention?
Negative.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. 6-1. And now Exhibit 2.
In Exhibit 2, the superintendent recommends the board approve professional certified educators for academic year 2020-21.
Thank you, Chair. Entertain a motion in regard to Exhibit 2.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve professional certified educators for academic year 2021, Exhibit 2.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. It's been motioned by Ms. Harris. It's been seconded by Reverend Jackson to approve certified recommendations in Exhibit 2. Again, personnel, so no discussion on the matter. All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. That's 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
It brings us down to the board chair report. I do not see, unless Ms. Brown tells me otherwise, any announcements that I need to make. But we do need to determine who is going to be our delegates to the 2020 Delegate Assembly. Of course, everybody's welcome to attend, but we have one delegate and we have one alternate. And of course, you know, that's in December. That will exceed my tenure on the board. So y'all need to select a delegate.
Make a motion. Make a motion.
I think we just kind of nominate somebody and then they say yeah or nay. I know in the past, Vice Chairman Reverend Jackson has done it. I don't know if he wants to do it again or somebody else really, really wants to do it.
Second, President Jackson.
Okay, all right. Sounds like we want Reverend Jackson. All right, who's gonna be our alternate?
Henry Miller.
Ms. Harrison.
No.
Ms. Harrison declines the nomination.
And Mr. Freed, everybody can go. Did you read the thing?
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
it's in Columbia.
Oh, okay,
It's just
okay.
one day. They only ask the delegates.
No, I'll be honest, I didn't read the letter. I just saw it.
Yeah, so
Delegate.
it's not a conference, it's just delegates.
Okay,
I think it's
okay.
gonna be held in Columbia.
It's gonna be virtual or, I mean. like the
Virtual
delegate-
for everybody else if you wanna do it, but the delegate is the only one that, not even the alternate, just the delegate.
Unless the other ones.
Unless they can attend.
can.
Nothing more fun than a virtual conference. All right, so I think you get to go
The
to
conference
one.
is virtual, but you have to go to one.
All right, we still gotta decide.
Recommend,
Ms. Harrison
Mr.
says she
Siegel.
won't do it. Mr. Miller, you were up next.
Next,
I will do whatever the board needs to do.
I believe Mr. Miller accepts the nomination as the alternate. All right, thank you. That's all I have, unless there's anything else for the good of the board. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. It's a second. Seconded by Mr. Davis. All those in favor say aye. Aye. See you next month.
You better run.
No.